Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners Antor.
Here.
Breivy.
Here.
Bulkowski.
Present. Here.
Hennessy.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Coleman.
Here.
Melton. Morgan.
Here.
Ponstein.
Here.
Zollfeld. Skaggs.
Here.
Sparks.
Present.
Vice Chair Steck. Commissioners Talon.
Here.
Vonk.
Here.
Voorhees.
Present.
Womack.
Here.
Wooden.
Here.
Chair Bolter.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have 16 members present, 3 absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. On to item 3, invocation. I'll call on Commissioner Sparks.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
A man was lost while driving through the country. As he tried to reach for the map, he accidentally drove off the road into a ditch. Though he wasn't injured, his car was stuck deep in the mud, so the man walked to a nearby farm to ask for help. "Warwick can help you get out the ditch," said the farmer, pointing to an old mule standing in the field. The man looked at the decrepit old mule and looked at the farmer, who just stood there repeating, "Yep, old Warwick can do the job." The man figured he had nothing to lose. The 2 men and the mule made their way back to the ditch. The farmer hitched on the mule to the car, and with a snap of the reins, he shouted, "Pull, Fred, pull, Jack, pull, Phil, pull, Warwick." And the mule pulled that car right out of the ditch. And the mule pulled the car out of the ditch. The man was amazed, and he thanked the farmer. He patted the mule and asked, "Why did you call out all of those names before you called Warwick?" The farmer grinned and said, "Old Warwick is just blind. As long as he believes he's part of the team, he doesn't mind pulling." Teamwork is the ability to work towards a common vision. And one thing I can tell you that I've learned in my short tenure here, I thank you for my 8 months, is that we work together as a team. And I'm very, very proud to be part of this team. And I thank every one of you while we're doing our budgets, and right now we're in the throes of that big task, that we don't forget about the team of Kent County. So it is the fuel that allows common people to obtain uncommon results. Teamwork, from the IT department to the facilities manager, to our administrator, to our Madam Chair, to all of you commissioners, to the clerk, all the way down to our administration, which is our foundation. I thank you very much. Shall we pray? Father God, we thank you so much for our Kent County team. We thank you for the ability to work together. We thank you for the ability to work past differences and see the end result of prosperous constituents, 650,000 people that we are responsible for. We thank you, God, for leading us and for guiding us. And we don't forget that you are our #1 teammate. We cannot move, live, breathe without you. And we thank you for your guidance. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Sparks. We are on to item 5 of our agenda, a Right Place update. And I'll welcome Birgit Close today.
Good morning, everybody. And yes, we are in the teamwork business too, and you are part of our team. And I really appreciate it. And I appreciate the opportunity to bring you up to date, because we are your economic development organization. And yes, Ted, we've been awfully successful. You would prefer me to be successful because you're one of our major investors, of course. I hope everybody has this on their screen. About the right place, is that what's up there? Okay. Just a little refresher, because as the older we get, the farther the way this goes, but we are the region's economic development organization. We were founded in 1985. The county was one of our original founders, Dick Booth. Pictures up there on the wall. And we're still funded the way we were 30-some years ago, 80% from the private sector, 10% from the public sector, and 10% from foundations. And you are our largest private investor. And the county has been part of our board for all those many years. And we really do thank you for your support and your leadership. And Wayman, of course, is one of our board members. Okay. All right, do you have primary focus areas on there? Because it's not working. Oh, we have technology issues.
That never happens.
Sorry about that.
Figure it out, no problem.
Worst case, I think we all have.
Those, okay. Worst case, okay.
Years ago.
Okay. Well, I can do this for a long time, so if something is right, something is not right here. So anyhow, our primary focus areas are advanced manufacturing. There we go. Okay. Let's try this again. There we go. Okay, so our primary focus areas, if you look at that wheel, if you think back about 20 or 30 years ago, it would have all just been manufacturing, but we really have become very, very diversified. So we have advanced manufacturing that is still a key area of our region. We are, in fact, one of the fastest growing manufacturing areas in the country. Number two is food processing. We just did another large food processing project in the city of Kentwood with Roskam Baking, $85 million investment and 238 new jobs. Took us a little bit to get that over the finish line, but we did. The life sciences, you don't have to go very far, just around the corner for the medical mile. And they're growing. Michigan State is adding another innovation center. We're working very closely with them on that project. And then information technology. I had a visit yesterday afternoon with a company that started up 4 years ago called Tech Defenders on Maryland in Oak Industrial. And 185 employees already, 4-year-old company, 3 young entrepreneurs. And they take used computer equipment, refurbish it, and sell it again. Just one of the fastest growing small companies in the area. Do you have this on your screen?
No.
Okay.
Next one.
Forgive me.
Yes.
The first slide is actually what we're seeing, not the second. So we're seeing the wheel of funding, not the wheel of the.
Okay.
There we
Oh,
are.
there you are. Okay, perfect. Okay, so foundations of economic growth is infrastructure, and I don't want to sound redundant, but yes, we do need to fix those roads. Without good infrastructure, and it's not just roads, it's water, it's sewer, it's bridges, and it's also broadband. It's a really big deal. Today, if you don't have a good internet connection, how are you going to run your business? It's also quality of life. And if you look around our region, somebody called Grand Rapids the front porch, and our rural communities the backyard. The two of them are mutually reinforcing, and so the quality of life that we enjoy really does make a difference today as we attract talent, and that is one of the key issues that faces every employer. Our unemployment rate is very low, which is good, but we also need to work on getting work-ready talent. And then the blue bar that you see there is thought leadership. We want to bring ideas and what's next to the community, and that comes from our board as well as from people like you. So where are we going to head into the future? Okay, we live by metrics because we believe if you don't count it, you don't do it. And we are in the last 4 months of a current strategic plan. That plan is a 3-year plan, so it ends at the end of this year, and as Wayman knows, because he's part of our steering committee, we're in the deep planning stages of our next 3-year plan, but it's also a plan that's going to look out way deep in the future, probably more like 8 to 10 years, on where is the region headed. So if you look on the left-hand side of those metrics, our goal for the current 3 years were 4,200 new jobs, and we are at 4,376. Our goal for payroll was $150 million, and it's almost $207 million. And that's a really key number because that really means that is money that's going to be spent in stores on cookies. We've always talked about, cookie sales go up when we have a new project, but it's a very, very important metric. And then capital investment, and our goal for 3 years was $500 million, and we are at almost $544 million. So we have, at the end of August, surpassed all of our 3-year goals, and obviously we're very proud of that. We also measure some other metrics on how many projects we have completed. So we've done 66 projects. In 2018, we did 29, and that's a pretty high number. We support manufacturers, small, medium, and large, and those were 470 projects that we completed. And a lot of different assistance that may not go into a completed projects are also measured, because we may be asked to work with consumers' energy on an easement, we may be asked to work on a water and sewer line, we may be asked all kinds of other things to help a company grow that may not involve bricks and mortar. So Commissioner Ponstein mentioned in your session previous to this that we end up on about every list there is every week. And in the last couple weeks ago, Reuters did an analysis of the last 7 years of job growth around the country, and then ranked those regions as superstar cities. And they're ranked 20. And if you look at the map, there are only 2 in the Midwest, Grand Rapids and Detroit. Everybody else is in the Southeast, Southwest, or West. So we are the top 20 superstar cities or regions. The same week, we were in Business Facilities magazine as the #1 mid-sized region for future economic growth. Goes against Commissioner Ponstein's question of how are we going to deal with all that growth. So the next slide really is population growth that's projected for Kent County. And so today you're at about 650,000, and that is expected to grow by another 100,000 in 20 years. So, obviously U.S. leaders need to think about that, and we as economic developers need to think about that too. Kent County and Ottawa County are really the 2 counties that have grown the fastest in Michigan and are pushing Michigan's population back over the 10 million mark. And so that's something to be proud of, right? I'll close with this because Chair Bolter told me brief is better. I want to thank all of you for your participation in the recent visit by Senator Peters to the airport, and thank you for your appointment of me to the airport board, and 2 of my colleagues from the airport board are here. The airport is becoming more and more and more critical to our economic success. We now have 31 nonstop flights out of the airport. The regional airlines continues to do good work in helping the airport, both with flight identification and route identification, as well as obviously the whole renovation of our airport. It's looking like a very different airport, and everybody who comes through there, it's really the front door to our region. And so your continued participation and support of our airport as well as us is very appreciated. With that, I'll stop and
That was super efficient. I'm so surprised by that. Thank you so
I
much.
can do this for 45 minutes if you like.
That's with the glitch.
I know, that's with the
know.
technical difficulty. All right, questions for Birgit today. Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I promise my questions will not get us into the 45-minute mark. You talk about, in the first slide, you speak about the quality of life needs that we have to meet our economic needs. And I'm also looking in your final slide about population growth. And one of the things that I have heard from employers is across this region is how housing costs are now affecting their ability to retain employees. Often employees now have to drive 40 minutes to get to an employer, and if their car breaks down, they have fewer options to get to work, and that affects the employee and it affects the business. In your opinion, how is our population growth and our housing cost growth affecting our quality of life and the ability of businesses to succeed here, and what can be done regionally to meet that
Well, I
that
think
need?
the housing question is really a regional question. We can either grow or we can die. If you don't succeed, you go backwards. Somebody will pass you by. So as a region, we need to look at transportation, regional transportation. How do we get people to work? Not everybody's going to have a car. How do we do that? And those are all questions that I think we need to look at regionally, not just individual communities. So that's my short answer to a very complicated question, because that could probably take us an hour, right? Yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bukowski.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Birgit. I'll keep my comments to 44 minutes. The quick comment, a rhetorical question, we have a regional air alliance championed by the business community. How about a regional mobility alliance championed by the business community? We'll talk about that later. And then my real question.
My bucket is full, by the way.
What's that?
If you want to give me 5 more employees, I'll look at it. My bucket is full.
Well, we'll talk. We'll talk. But if we go to the population growth chart, my real question is the scariness when we disaggregate the population growth in the sense that as we age, we can project out that in 2045 there's going to be 755,000 of us, but how many of us will not be of working age? And what really is that coming? It's not a coming crisis. Again, we have a talent-ready, work-ready crisis today, or desperate need. However, also at the low end, from a wage perspective, and unfortunately we call them low-skilled jobs, and like direct care.
Is there a question? I'm sorry,
Yes,
Commissioner.
sorry. The
I'm
question,
serious.
yes, the quick question is, how are you working on those direct care workers, the really
No.
entry level? That's somebody else's job?
That's somebody else's job.
Okay.
Our job is to find companies that want to grow in wealth-creating business, and don't stumble over the word wealth creating.
No,
okay?
I'm not.
So our job is to help find, here is a statistic that you may want to remember. The labor participation of males between 45 and 55 is at the lowest level in this country in 60 years. Males of any race and color between 45 and 55 is at the lowest level in 60 years. We should all be concerned about, and that's workforce development work, not economic development work, on how do we re-engage that population into the labor force.
All right. Thank you.
That's a real key metric.
Wow.
Does
Thank
it
you.
answer at least part of your question?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Commissioner Ponstein.
Thank you, Chair Bolter. Bergen, I've been listening to you since when I was on the city commission. I know Commissioner Voorhees was on city commission, and a lot of people have heard you over the years. It's just amazing what you have been able to do with your tenure, and I appreciate that.
But back to Commissioner Sparks. It's a team sport.
So I want to talk a little bit about work-ready talent when a business comes and saying, this is what we do, this is what we need. And there's a lot of talk about you don't need a 4-year degree anymore. 2-year degrees that are specialized are going to result in far more benefits than a big debt at the end. What are companies saying? What is our local area saying? Because I even of the opinion that maybe the 2-year colleges need to be reworked too, to more certificate-based programs that can get these industries that are coming in that say, we need this, so we can say, we've got that.
Well, we've been preaching that it's not an either-or proposition for a long time, because some jobs will require a 4-year degree, but all jobs that are paying well require post-high school education. I remember a visit with a company up in another part of the region, and they made it very clear that they will not hire anybody who doesn't at least have a certificate or a 2-year community college education. Our partner in all of this is we have 3 workforce partners. Hello West Michigan, which does talent retention and attraction. We work very closely with all of the community colleges in the region because we're the front line with the employers to identify what jobs are needed out there. And then with the West Michigan Works Board. So we work through all of those agencies, and then we also work with what is now called Labor and Economic Opportunity, or LEO, at the state of Michigan. That's their new workforce agency to identify how we're going to all work together. Because the labor shortage is not just a shortage that for today. Even if a recession happens tomorrow, we hope not, our demographics nationwide are not very positive in terms of high school graduates, the number is shrinking. So how do we re-engage those that are not working? How do we teach those that are working that they need a skill and you can't drop out of high school? We continue to stumble over one big issue, we meaning everybody. Convincing parents that maybe you don't have to go get a 4-year degree, but there is a career as an electrician, in construction, et cetera, and that it is a skilled trade. And those are the conversations a whole bunch of us are having, and how do we get students, teachers, et cetera, engaged. So we collaborate with West Michigan Works. We are hosting, again, Discover Manufacturing, for instance, in October, where we take literally hundreds of kids on buses through all kinds of companies to show them what careers there are available. And then we collaborate with them in the spring, when almost 10,000 kids from all high schools in the region come here to DeVos Place and learn about careers in IT, careers in healthcare, careers in construction, and careers in manufacturing. We're starting now in middle school. So that kids see what's really available. Because the idea still is, what kind of jobs are out there. And they're bringing their machinery here, they're bringing all kinds of equipment so that kids can really see what it's like. They get excited. They don't just want to be talked to. They want to kind of touch something. So.
And then just to follow up on that, I mean, that is important, and I appreciate all of that. I had an opportunity to speak with someone from Bradford White a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And they had found that where they're now gaining traction is that the problem of attracting kids to these jobs aren't the kids, it's the parents. Who've got the
No
idea
question.
of a smelly,
Dirty factory from
horrible
1950.
that they're now inviting the parents
Correct.
to come in
Yep.
and say,
Yep.
this is
Yep.
what manufacturing
This
looks
is like today, right, yeah. The parents are a hurdle, and so are high school counselors, who really haven't been in a modern, contemporary manufacturing company in a long time, yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Morgan.
Good morning, Birgit.
Good
I don't
morning.
have a question, just a comment. I just want to put that out there right away because I've worked with you a long time. This is our economic department. This is our economic arm of the county, and I think we're one of the biggest public contributors to the right
You
place.
are the number one public
And I think it's
investor
money
to us.
well spent. So thank
you.
you for being our economic development arm in the county and all the good work that you do.
Now, before we go, Tim Moraz is in the audience. Of course, he's part of our team, and he's working very closely with your DPW on the park down the south, so.
Commissioner Vonk.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Birgit, I wear more than one hat. I also chair the DPW board, and we get to talk trash once a month, and we'll be talking a lot of trash in the near future.
Yeah, we are.
As we move ahead on that business park. And
Correct.
can you enlighten the board a little bit on what's taking place or what you see the future being with
Well,
that project?
I know Tim is working very hard on this, and I know he's traveling next week to look at some, because what we're trying to figure out is who's doing this already, if anybody, and who's doing it best and what's world-class. So they're actually going to go look at some facilities that may have applicability to the park that we're trying to develop. Quite candidly, I think we're kind of on the leading edge here, because not a lot of communities have ever even tackled this kind of thing, so. But we need to get a handle on that trash.
We see it the same way. We see it as a decade-long problem or
Yes,
longer,
it is.
not problem,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
solution to that problem.
Well, and you have so much more going into, with everybody ordering things on Amazon and everywhere else, you have way more, right?
Right.
Stuff
Yeah,
to
instead of one
add.
box with 12 items in it, we've got 12 boxes
Boxes
going
with
out
one
with
item.
one
in it.
item.
Right, right.
Thank you.
Commissioner Talon.
Thank you, Chair. Morning, Birgit.
Good morning.
I want to add my thanks for your leadership and the
that's
amazing
good.
team that you have. And I want to go back to the talent issue that we were talking about, and you acknowledged that there's a national shortage of talent. The question is, from all the interactions that you have, what's your sense of what we as a Kent County and a region, what's our biggest weakness in attracting that talent? Or put another way, what do we need to do to be competitive nationally, to get folks here
Well,
and to
first of all,
stay here?
let's do this just like we do economic development. The first issue is retaining the talent. When we have bright, young people who go to college here, who go to school here, or graduate from high school here, how do we provide them with opportunities so they don't move, right?
And
then
the answer is?
Internships are one of the best ways to retain talent. So Hello West Michigan, which is under our umbrella, if you will, hosted an event for over 600 interns this summer. And and these kids come from all over, I should say young people, come from all over. And what we're trying to do with what we call Intern Connect is to really have the interns connect with each other so they get sticky and they know that there are opportunities here, et cetera, and that they become part of the community and feel at home, okay? We have a young woman on our team who moved here to go to college from a suburb of Chicago, and she told me when we hired her that she never intended to stay here, never. But she became an intern, and she got connected, and she started to like it, and now she's married, and she's not going anywhere. So those are the kind of things that, some of it is very intentional, some of it is, serendipitous. The other thing Hello West Michigan does, they host a very big event the night before Thanksgiving called Rethink West Michigan, when a lot of young people come home with their families to visit their families, who may be from here, who went to college here. And what we're trying to do is connect them to employers, and we usually have between 20 and 25 employers present. I call it speed dating for jobs, over a beer. So, but it really works. It's at the Bob, and I talked at a company yesterday, and the young man said, that's how my wife got her job. So those are the kind of things we do. And then in attracting talent, we have to really be a welcoming community, so that when we attract talent and they come here, they also get connected. This is a very, very interconnected, networked community. We all know each other. We've all been here a long time. So when somebody new moves to the community, then we have to embrace them and not just say, hi, welcome, but to really include them in our daily activities so they want to stay. Okay? So it's not one simple answer, but it's really a multifaceted. Retaining them, attracting them, and what we call them boomerangs. So, getting those who left here for college or an opportunity back to the community as well. So, but it's a multifaceted, process. So,
Commissioner Antor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning.
good morning.
You mentioned something that was really kind of compelling. You mentioned grow or die. And I guess on the surface, I'd like to take issue with that, possibly, depending on what you meant by that. I know there's a lot of communities around the United States that have grown, beyond their means to support. It happens all over, especially in the big cities. There's a lot of poverty, homelessness, everything that we're trying to avoid happens in areas that grow too fast and without planning.
Without a plan.
Correct.
Yeah, right.
So I'm sure we're on the same page there. Growth in and of itself is not necessarily a great thing. It depends on how you grow and what type of vision you have towards the future. And I just wanted to bring that up because sometimes people think, well, the more people we have coming in, the more taxes they're going to pay, the more prosperous we'll be. And in reality, sometimes the more infrastructure we need and everything else doesn't get covered by that new growth, especially when we do enterprise zones and things like that, when they're not paying taxes. So I just wanted to be clear that we need to, as we grow in a way that's smart, that looks to the future. We only have so much dirt in this county. We got to make sure that we continue to preserve the prime stuff, try to keep the farmland viable. That's really important, I know, for you
Well, I
guys
mean,
as
there's a
well.
balance, right?
Correct.
Between having business and industry creating jobs, so you
Correct.
have jobs for your residents, and also having quality of life, and how do you balance that out? Right.
Yeah, I agree. That all plays together. So I just
all
want
plays
to
together.
make sure we stay vigilant.
But if you, I agree, but if you don't, somebody is always on your heels, right? I mean, we have competition for every job that we keep or get. We talked about Rosscam a little bit ago. We have to realize that every other state does what we do, okay? There are 25,000 economic development organizations in the United States. So those are all our competitors. So when we talk to a company, even local, we know that yesterday they may have met with somebody from Alabama. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So we are very, very vigilant to make sure that those who are already here get taken care of first. So they don't get ideas that, Alabama looks pretty good to me. And then, of course, with the new ones, we always compete with at least 3 or 4 or 5 other states. And, you know, sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But I understand that we have to have a balance, but we also have to be careful that we continue to provide the kind of livelihood for people that want to be here, so.
For sure, and I just to follow up, I think it's important that we don't necessarily compete with every manufacturer that wants to set up, depending on what they're doing and what, you know what I mean? It's Detroit, we just talked about them. As our population continues to increase, their population has really gone down over the last several decades, I guess, and we're almost getting to the point where we're going to catch up.
Well, careful. The city of Detroit has 600,000 people. The city of Detroit.
Well, I'm talking about Wayne County, I guess.
Southeast Michigan has 4.5 million inhabitants. That's 6 counties. So we can't compare ourselves. The city of Detroit is 600,000 plus folks. Kent County is 650,000, but that's the whole county, right?
You'll say in the
So we
general-
have to kind of make sure that we compare apples to apples.
Right. The
Yeah.
general consensus is population starting to move to the west.
Well, I don't think I ever want to have 4.5 million people in 17 counties.
I'm just saying they've had a lot of growth.
Then we really have an infrastructure problem, you know. so-
Right, they've had a lot of growth.
Yes, they have.
They
In
have
Oakland County, and
exploded
Wayne
now.
County, and
Correct.
Washington County.
That's all I'm saying is that,
Yeah.
we learn from what other people have faced, and I think that's important. It's just, we will grow. We're going to continue to grow because it's inevitable. It's just to grow with our eye on the future, I guess, as best we can. So,
Well, that's, our plan looks out like 10 years, so.
thank you.
yeah.
All right, any other questions for Birgit? Oh, Commissioner Hennessy.
Sort of following up on the idea, some of the ideas just generated in that previous conversation, and the idea that it's a question of balance. You see growth area in being in food processing, and to a large extent that depends on having a product available somewhat
To
locally.
process, yes.
To process, right. And we're talking the continued population growth. So how do you see, is it your role, whose role, how do we coordinate any kind of growth and the balance that is needed?
That's a planning role, that's not our role. I mean, we
Okay.
work with the ag community as well as the food processing community. There's about 240 food processors in 13 counties where we've seen significant growth. But the other half of that is not in our purview, so. We're economic developers, not planners.
Whose purview is it then, in terms of keeping this balance, so that you can continue to grow jobs, and we
Well,
can
it is-
continue to grow
it's-
that balance with
It's
the
a
continued
community,
population?
county, different counties handle this very differently, so. Because we work in 6 counties. This is our biggest one, obviously,
Right.
so.
But that industry's growing, right?
It sure is, yeah.
Okay.
Sure is.
Any other questions today for Birgit? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think I can say safely that this county wouldn't look the same without you, so
Oh,
thanks
I
for all
appreciate
your work and all your staff's work. Appreciate your time. Thank you. All right, we are on to item 6, public comment related to our agenda. Is there any public comment today on any agenda items from the meeting today? All right, seeing none, we are on to item 7, consent agenda, and I'll call on Commissioner Sparks.
Forgive me, Madam Chair. I don't know what I'm supposed to do to that part. I've never done that yet.
Just move. Just move
Oh,
the
okay,
consent
thank
agenda.
you. Okay, so I move that we adopt the consent agenda.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Moved by Commissioner Sparks, supported by Commissioner Morgan. Questions or comments on the consent agenda today? Right. Seeing none, this is a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the motion to adopt the consent agenda, Commissioners Antor,
Yes.
Brevi.
Yes.
Bulkowski. Hennessy.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Kallman. Melton. Morgan.
Yes.
Constein.
Yes.
Salfeld. Skaggs.
Yes.
Sparks.
Yes.
Vice Chair Steck. Commissioners Talon.
Yes.
Vonk.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Womack.
Yes.
Wooden.
Yes.
Chair Bolter.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 16 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes. The consent agenda is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're on to item 8, resolutions, and I'll call on Commissioner Morgan for
Thank you,
Resolution
Madam Chair. I'd like to move Resolution 65. It's an easement and transfer of property between Plainfield Township and a North Kent Sewer Authority.
8. Moved by Commissioner Morgan, support by Commissioner Jones. Questions or comments? All right, seeing none, this is not a roll call. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion passes. Resolution passes. On to Resolution B. I'll call on Commissioner Voorhees.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would move resolution number 66 of today's date, which is to transfer the lift station to Plainfield Charter Township. It's from the Administrator's Office.
Moved by Commissioner Voorhees, support by Commissioner Wooden. Any questions or comments on this issue? Commissioner Talon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Does the county own the lift station?
No.
So our resolution here is to transfer the lift station. It should say the lift station property, right? Technically?
If you look at the first whereas clause, the county still owned the property on which the lift station is located, and this is for the transfer of the property on which the lift station. It's a one package.
Right, but what I've been told for 19 years is that the whereases aren't important. It's the therefore be it resolved, and the be it resolved says we're transferring the lift station. So just maybe a friendly amendment there.
Well, we're approving the quit claim transfer. If you look at the now be it resolved, we approve the quit claim transfer of the North Kent Transfer Station. So that quit claim transfer refers to the deed, the property. If you want to make a friendly amendment to clarify and insert the word property, that's up to you.
You don't think it's necessary?
I don't think it's
Okay.
necessary with
All
the
right.
reference to the deed, no.
All right.
All right, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, this is not a roll call. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, resolution passes. On to Resolution C. I will call on Commissioner Brebe.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move Resolution 67 of today's date, sale of property and grant of easement to the Michigan Department of Transportation from DPW.
Moved by Commissioner Brebe, support by Commissioner Wooden. Any questions or comments on this one? All right, seeing none, this is a roll call. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the motion to adopt Resolution 8/22/1967, Commissioners Antor.
Yes.
Breve.
Yes.
Volkowski.
Yes.
Hennessy.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Kallman.
Yes.
Melton. Morgan.
Yes.
Ponstein.
Yes.
Salfeld. Skaggs.
Yes.
Sparks. Vice Chair Steck. Commissioners Talon.
Yes.
Vonk.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Womack.
Yes.
Wooden.
Yes.
Chair Bolter.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 16 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes. Resolution 8/22/1967 is adopted.
Great, we are on to the second page of this agenda. Item D, Resolution D. I'll call on Commissioner Voorhees.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would move Resolution 68 of today's date. It's regarding the advance to the Drain Commissioner of the revolving fund. It's from the Drain Commissioner's office.
Moved by Commissioner Voorhees, support by Commissioner Morgan. Questions or comments on this resolution? All right, seeing none, this is a roll call. You're going to be busy today, Madam Clerk. Please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can count to 19. On the motion to adopt Resolution 8/22/1968, Commissioners Antor.
Yes.
Breve.
Yes.
Volkowski.
Yes.
Hennessy.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Kallman.
Yes.
Melton. Morgan.
Yes.
Ponstein.
Yes.
Salfeld. Skaggs.
Yes.
Sparks. Vice Chair Steck. Commissioners Talon.
Yes.
Vonk.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Womack.
Yes.
Wooden.
Yes.
Chair Bolter.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 16 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes. Resolution 8/22/1968 is adopted.
Great, thank you. On to item E. I'll call Commissioner Voorhees again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would move resolution number 69 of today's date regarding the 2019 Zoo and Museum Millage Fund Amendment.
from the Fiscal Services Department.
Moved by Commissioner Voorhees, support by Commissioner Ponstein. Questions or comments on this resolution? All right, seeing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the motion to adopt Resolution 822-1969, Commissioners Antor.
Yes.
Breivy.
Yes.
Bulkowski.
Yes.
Hennessy.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Melton. Morgan.
Yes.
Ponstein.
Yes.
Salfeld. Skaggs.
Yes.
Sparks. Vice Chair Steck. Commissioners Talon.
Yes.
Vonk.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Womack.
Yes.
Wooden.
Yes.
Chair Bolter.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 16 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes. Resolution 822-1969 is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. On to item F, Resolution F. I'll call on Commissioner Breivy.
Thank you, Chair. I move Resolution 70 of today's date, Spectrum Health Foundation Strong Beginnings Latina Grant from the Health Department.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Breivy, support by Commissioner Womack. Questions or comments? Commissioner Talon.
Thank you, Chair Bolter. Just want to acknowledge, related to both this resolution and the next one, the impressive work that continues to be done in our community in the public health area to reduce infant mortality. The numbers continue to go down. We still have disparities among different groups, and the Strong Beginnings program is a significant piece of that, and they continue to focus on those disparities. So appreciate the continued support of that work and in these resolutions.
Any other questions or comments? I just have one. I'll be abstaining from F and G as Spectrum Health is my employer. So we will move on to the roll call for Resolution F.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the motion to adopt Resolution 822-1970, Commissioners Antor.
Yes.
Breivy.
Yes.
Bulkowski.
Yes.
Hennessy.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Coleman. Melton. Morgan.
Yes.
Ponstein.
Yes.
Salfeld. Skaggs.
Yes.
Sparks. Vice Chair Steck. Commissioners Antor. Talon.
Yes.
Pardon me. Vonk.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Womack.
Yes.
Wooden.
Yes.
Chair Bolter.
Abstain.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You have 15 yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention. The motion passes. Resolution 822-1970 is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. On to Resolution G, and I'll call on Commissioner Breivy.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move Resolution 71 of today's date, Spectrum Health Hospitals Pay for Success Strong Beginnings Program from the Health Department.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Breivy, support by Commissioner Jones. Questions or comments? All right, seeing none, this is a roll call. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the motion to adopt Resolution 822-1971, Commissioners Antor.
Yes.
Breivy.
Yes.
Bulkowski.
Yes.
Hennessy.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Melton. Morgan.
Yes.
Ponstein.
Yes.
Salfeld. Skaggs.
Yes.
Sparks. Vice Chair Steck. Commissioners Talon.
Yes.
Vonk.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Womack.
Yes.
Wooden.
Yes.
Chair Bolter.
Abstain.
Madam Chair, you have 15 yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention. The motion passes. Resolution 822-1971 is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Last one, we're on to Resolution H, and I will again call on Commissioner Breivy.
Thank you, Chair. I move Resolution 72 of today's date for Two Rivers Park acquisition from the Parks Department.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Breivy. Who was that supported by? Supported by Commissioner Wooden.
Skaggs.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Skaggs.
Commissioner Skaggs.
There's a lot of different people in that.
Jeez. It would help
Skaggs
if I-
should be honored to be compared to Commissioner
It would help
Wooden.
if I looked up. Okay. Moved by Commissioner Breivy, support by Commissioner Skaggs. Questions or comments on this issue? Commissioner Ponstein.
Thank you, Chair Bolter. So the gentleman that held my seat before me was not a big park fan. Well, we had just heard the right place in Bergen talk about having balance to draw talent, companies. Parks definitely impacts our quality of life and the overall attraction of the community. I'm looking forward to seeing what the end game is for this park. It looks like it's going to be another one of the gems that we have.
All right. Commissioner Coleman.
Madam Chair. Just a quick comment that in the discussion about growth and managing our county's growth, I think one of the best ways to preserve for the long term, open space that can be enjoyed by all is through acquisition of parkland. So I'm in full support of this.
Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Chair. Just echoing some of the previous comments made, and just continue with previous park acquisition discussions, that when we are engaging when it comes to seeing the full plan for the park, having regional involvement in park planning, so that each of these parks that we invest in become regional gems in line with our Parks Master Plan. Thank you.
Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I stated in the Finance Committee, this is a spectacular piece. We're just not acquiring green space and parkland. This is a really nice piece where two rivers come together in a confluence. It's going to be beautiful. And as I had a conversation with Commissioner Bolkowski, I wouldn't mind to see this remain passive because it's so beautiful. So let's continue to pick up these pieces when they become available that are very scenic and can be a real asset to our parks and recreation.
Any other questions or comments on this resolution? All right, seeing none, this is our last roll call. Commissioner Clerk Lyons, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the motion to adopt Resolution 822-1972, Commissioners Antor.
Yes.
Breivy.
Yes.
Bolkowski.
Yes.
Hennessy.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Melton. Morgan.
Yes.
Bonstein.
Yes.
Salfeld. Skaggs.
Yes.
Sparks. Vice Chair Steck. Commissioners Talon.
Yes.
Vonk.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Womack.
Yes.
Wooden.
Yes.
Chair Bolter.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 16 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes. Resolution 822-1972 is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We are on to item 9, public comment related to general county matters. Do we have any public comment today? All right, seeing none, we are on to item 10, Commissioner reports. Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to report on the Kent County Parks Foundation, which is nice because we just finished a parks event, a parks motion. So it's a great example, as I've said before, of how we can work with the community to have financial support and people's time engaged in our county efforts. And I'm really excited to be a board member for that. Everyone who is a commissioner should have received a complimentary invite to our upcoming event, which is Something's Grilling, which is on September 11th. So I hope that everyone is able to make that into your schedule. It is one of our largest fundraisers. I'd like to note that our executive director is in the audience, Sam Moore. So if anyone has any additional questions, but it's, again, just a great opportunity here to role model this particular setup for maybe even other future county programs where you have another avenue for funding for what we do and how we do it. That's a great partnership. So thank you.
Commissioner Bonk.
Thank you, Chair. I'll give a quick report on the tour we had with U.S. Senator Peters. He was doing a motorcycle tour of the state of Michigan, and as Monica mentioned, teamwork, and I was given a call by his office by Peter Ross, the local TV personality. I use that name because you'd probably recognize that name rather than his real name, but he gave me a call and asked if I would be a part of that ride. And I said, definitely I'll be a part of that ride. And so on the morning of August 9th, I left my home at 6:30 in the morning with my sidekick, and we went up to Big Rapids to join up with the senator. And since he was ending his tour at the airport, I wanted to talk to him about PFAS. You know, I changed my hats real quickly and mentioned some help that we could use with the DPW. But we took a ride. We met up with some additional Harley-Davidson riders at the Hampton Inn there, and instead of going down Northland Drive, Wolverine Boulevard, like we had been told and planned, the Harley guys took us over to Hardy Dam area, and we quickly lost the chase car. And anyway, we picked up some other Harley-Davidson riders in Cedar Springs and went on and picked up some additional riders at 44th Street in the East Belt Line. And then he arrived at the airport, and he was introduced to some of the work that he helped support with funding through Washington on security and other issues at the airport. And it was a fun outing, and I said I'd participate again. I was more than gracious for them to ask me to join them, and we had a good time. And Wayman was there, and the other commissioners were there to see the show of what has been taking place at the airport. But it was a fun day, and it was an exciting day, and I think it was well received.
Great. And a purpose of asking for lots of money for our tower. And, yeah. Commissioner Talon.
Thank you, Chair Bolter. The Grand Rapids DDA met last Wednesday, and I want to highlight a couple items from the meeting. One is, the river restoration work continues to go on, and it's an interesting thing. You don't see anything happening in the river, but it's kind of like an iceberg. There's a whole bunch of stuff that has to happen before that stuff actually happens on the river. But one of the things that will happen with that restoration is a lot of public land along the river so that the community can enjoy that amenity. And we have to figure out long-term how to manage that. And so what happened last Wednesday was DGRI, primarily funded through the DDA, approved an agreement for a consultant to help us figure out how to manage that, whether it's to create some sort of land conservancy or what does that look like? How do we fund it? How do we manage all of that area downtown? So kind of another tip of the ice or below the iceberg kind of work with that consultant authorization. Second thing is just to let you know, if you haven't been in the kind of Hartside area of downtown, there's significant street work going on Division Avenue. That's been an area that's needed some attention for a long time. There's some really cool plans for what that's going to look like, including a median, some additional crosswalks for folks to get from one side of Division to the other. So that's happening. That's going to take a few months, actually a year, I think, before that's finalized. But the DDA is a significant contributor to that work. Thank you.
Great. Commissioner Brebe.
Thank you, Chair. I have a brief update from the Grand Rapids Public Museum and a couple new exhibits. It's the time of year where they kind of change things over. First, October 19, Design Zone opens up, and that is an exhibit to really get after people's creativity and innovation in art, music, and engineering. So that should be good and very interactive for families. On November 16, Bodies Revealed will be coming. That should be a very interesting and intriguing exhibit. Finally, the ever-popular Toys exhibit, which is one of my favorites, has been extended for another year. So if you have an opportunity, go visit the museum, take your families, and explore.
Great. Commissioner Womack.
Yes, I would like to give an update for Network 180. I usually don't have to do that because Commissioner Steck is here, but in his absence today, our meeting this week, we talked more about balancing the budget, which is always a challenge, especially with the state of Michigan lowering and decreasing some of their funding for mental health here. But by consolidating some of the services, they've been able to meet this challenge, and it looks like Network 180 is going to be doing a pretty good job again at balancing that budget. Also, they consolidated some of the services so we could meet some of the federal guidelines and requirements that are required for some of the funding that's coming in. So that's my update on Network 180. I also want to thank the Sheriff's Department. Some of my constituents had a question about how some of the Sheriff's Department reports are filed and how that relates to the state, and Under Sheriff Chuck DeWitt was able to get that to us, within the hour. So they've always been timely, and I just wanted to thank the Sheriff's Department once again and let them know my constituents were very happy for that information transfer to happen so quickly. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Ponstein.
I'll remember to turn it on this time. Thank you, Chair Bolter. The pension board met yesterday. I know there was a question earlier
We've got about $309 million under active management. We are no longer 100%, but we are in the high 90s, 98, some changes. It changes every day to day. Most of that has to do is that we adopted the new actuarial tables. Most pension funds haven't even done that yet. We did it first thing this year. So we've always been trying to head of the ball so we don't get behind in this fund. The pension board as a whole, we're now focusing on staying the strategy that has worked for so long, but also finding new ways to lower fees and maybe a little different way to get the same return with less fees. And one of the things we did is we eliminated one of our active managers and put the money into a index fund, which just invests in the index of large caps. And I think it's not something that just happened, but this has been happening for numerous years where we're paying fees and the active people are getting the same result if we would have just invested it straight across. So we're trying that new strategy. There's a lot of pension funds around the country that would love to be in our position, and my hat's off aren't to me, but the people that served well before me. The strategy and the policies set forward have worked well for this county. It is an attraction to get employees to come to the county to have a pension fund, and I'm even more happy that we don't have a pension fund that we have to worry about whether it's funded correctly. Having said that, we do have an opening on the pension board for an employee. We had an employee retirement that was a person that sat on the pension board, so just a shout out to all the county employees. If this is something you're interested in, the election will be this fall to fill that position, and I hope we get a good selection of people to select from. Thank you.
Great. Any other reports today? All right, seeing none, we will move on to miscellaneous. Commissioner miscellaneous today, Commissioner Antor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to show my appreciation for the county for the MAC conference, allowing us to attend that. We had some great sessions. I was really, the opioid crisis seminar was extremely eye-opening and very interesting. I learned a lot in that, and it's even bigger than I thought it was. And it's going to be a while before we get any type of resolution, but there's so many, it's gotten real political and there's so many players involved in this, but I appreciate the fact that we're able to go, and it's a beautiful place to have a conference, and I think all the commissioners that went really appreciated it. Thank you.
Great. Commissioner Ponstein.
Thank you, Chair Bolter. To tie on to what Tom said, serving on the MAC board, I appreciate the 5 that came, Commissioner Sparks, Talon, and Womack, and Tom. For me, the conferences are busy. There's other responsibilities I do being serving on the MAC board, but I really appreciated the good attendance. One of the best ones that I went to is they had a speaker from the Upjohn Institute, and the session was Michigan 2020, what we can expect from our economy. If a recession even hits, which they're not confident it will, we're well set as a region and as a state to weather any recession that comes through. That PDF was emailed to me by the Upjohn Institute yesterday. If anyone would like a copy of it, it's a 43-page document. A lot of them do have the typical PDF where the question is for the guy that's doing it. But there's a lot of good data in there of where we are, why we're well positioned. And if anyone would like that, just give me a holler and I will email it to you. Also, under the MAC business, we passed our platforms, which is set up by county commissioners that volunteer their times on different committees. If there's any committee that you want to serve on, if you just call the MAC board, you will be put on one. If you don't like some parts of the standing committee recommendations, that's why you want to get active, because there is a difference. 83 counties all across the state, different viewpoints, different priorities, so it's always good to have a voice at the table. Same thing with the National Association of Counties, which we are members of. If you want to serve on any of their standing committees, all you have to do is contact MAC. They're automatic appointments from the state organizations. We will get you on one. I know several, Commissioner Sparks and Commissioner Talent, serve on committees along with me. I'm stepping down from the Energy, Environment, and Land Use. MAC approached me saying we've already got 4 people on that committee. We don't have anyone on the Public Lands Committee, so I've been moved from Environment over to Public Lands, and I get to hear cowboys from the western states talk all day, so that should be very interesting. That's it.
Great. Commissioner Jones?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to thank the Lowell Chamber that did host myself and the state rep and the state senator and their city manager for their government event that they had just yesterday. And along with that, it is that time of year. So for those, it's a non-event. For others, it's huge. First day of school happened this week, will happen next week. I know I have one more first day of school officially in the, as I have a high school senior. So good luck to all of those. And I do always find the teachers' Facebook posts at this time of year entertaining as they think summer all went way too fast.
Commissioner Sparks?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to thank Commissioner Phil Skaggs, who's not here right now, and you for allowing us to do a proclamation for the blessing of the students, which was very special. Many elected officials came out for that event, and our police chief and lots of other community leaders, just to bless all of the students and the faculty and everyone that participates in the school year. Just a special covering for our students and schools. So thank you very much for that. I also like to thank Commissioner Emily Britson from Kentwood for joining us here today as well. Thank you.
Commissioner Morgan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to remind the commissioners a Freedom Cruise is coming up. Tom, what's that date of free? It's beginning of September.
Sunday, September 22nd.
22nd. So if you get the opportunity to attend this, please do it. I've been involved with it for the last couple of years, and it's a really moving tribute. And the fellowship out there is absolutely over the top. And actually had an invocation from Commissioner Voorhees at one time for it. So if you can make it out there, I would really encourage you to attend it. It's just a great event, and it just recognizes what our veterans do for us and the fallen heroes that are recognized. So if you can make it, make it.
Great. Commissioner Womack?
Yes, this weekend we did have Jazz Fest, Grand Rapids Jazz Fest at Rosa Parks, and this will be the last year that our president of our board, I'm a board member for the Grand Rapids Jazz Fest, but the last year that it'll be led by our president, Audrey Sumstrom, who is retiring from the board. So we're going to try to see if we can keep it going, but she left some big shoes to fill. Also this weekend, as being the president of Community Police Relations Network, CPR, I had created an event called Cops and Kids Day Out. We partnered with Voices of the Badge with Johnny Brand, which helped very much because Brands did do the financial sponsoring of 30 kids out with the police department at the Whitecaps game this weekend. The good news out of that, it was one of the most forced events ever. Most of the kids didn't want to go, but their parents wanted them to go. And when we added the free hot dogs and pops, that put it over the edge. They wanted to go. But three of the most hardest to reach youth that I've been working with in the city of Grand Rapids, three of these teenagers decided they wanted to be Grand Rapids Police Department officers after having a day with the fine officers that interacted with these kids. And one of the most hardest to reach young kids has called me 3 times. He said 3 times before he left, one day I'm going to be in that blue uniform. Now he's called me like 3 times since say, you don't believe me, do you? I'm going to be in that blue uniform. I said, I really believe you. So I know it's been a year where there's been a lot of media coverage of cops and the kids' interaction, and it hasn't always been positive. But I'm just glad we're ending the summer on a very positive note and a highlight of the kids in the Grand Rapids Police Department starting to work together.
Thank you. That's awesome work. Any other, Commissioner Hennessy?
This is a community where we really talk about and acknowledge all of the ethnic groups that are involved in our community. There have been a number of festivals over the last few weeks. They bring community together. There's usually food and there's there's music, and one of them that's coming up this weekend is the Polish Harvest Festival.
Great food.
Great food, good music, lots of spirit. And so, but it's one of many that have been held in the last few weeks and that will be coming in the next few weeks.
Great. Commissioner Wooden?
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to report that last weekend, the U.S. National Rowing Association hosted the National Masters Championship at Riverside Park. I was in crew in high school and had several regattas at Riverside Park myself growing up, and to see a national event like that and the sheer amount of boats and shells and oars that were were organized around Riverside Park was truly a sight to see, and to hear the comments from folks from Seattle and from Texas commenting about the strength of Riverside Park and how much they enjoyed competing at that site just brought to my attention the discussions we've had about how important it is that we advertise the regional assets that we have, whether they're in the county park system or the city park system or our different municipalities' park systems, from Luton to Riverside to Millennium, and just saw the value in that and wanted to report that today.
Great. Any other miscellaneous today? All right, true to form, I have a couple. A lot of us mentioned the MAC conference today. I would challenge our commissioners, and I know you already are doing this, but we spent a lot of resources to go there. I hope that we're bringing back some best practices, and when you go there, please intentionally seek out what can we bring back, what are the best ideas throughout the state to bring back to our county. And also, I hope our staff is arming you with some of our best practices to share, because as we've mentioned in our State of the County and various opportunities, we want to lead and we want to be known as a leader in the state. So I just would challenge you to always be thinking of that at all these conferences. Also wanted to mention, since Commissioner Steck's not here, we are filling all of our local boards. So just a reminder to kick that out, how any means necessary. We always get the same couple of boards with 100 applicants, and then everyone else, it's pulling teeth, but it is a true opportunity to serve our community. So if we can recruit people that you think have a true heart to serve our county, we need to get those in. I think it's the whole month of September, the applications are open, so just wanted to make that quick reminder. I wanted to quickly acknowledge Adam London in the Health Department. A couple of months ago, I got a call from our mayor of Grand Rapids, who asked that we implement some sort of policy for dogs at outdoor patios and restaurants. And we don't have a policy for that. The state law is pretty strict on that. But our director of our health department, Adam Linden, called one of the restaurants the same day, and they've turned this thing around in about a month. So there is kind of a new process in place for any restaurant who wants to do this. There's a waiver workaround that they've implemented very quickly, and I think that that's just a huge, I really want to acknowledge that it's not something we do, it's not standard, and they were able to do it in about a month and a half with a 3-week turnaround for the applicant. So that's a great thing that they did, and I just wanted to acknowledge that. And lastly, I know he's not from our county, but I wanted to acknowledge the passing of my first mentor, Representative Gilmer. He took me on as a college kid back in the day, and he passed this year. So I wanted to again remind everyone to be intentional about internships and intentional about succession planning. I think we all sometimes get so busy and just kind of think in the back of your head, as Commissioner Womack did, who can we pull up, what youth can we pull up to get involved in our community, and just always be mindful of that as we do our work. So with that, I will call on Commissioner Sparks for a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Sparks, supported by Commissioner Morgan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.